Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, doing a discussion on a card from Shadow Spectres. This time I picked an Xyz Monster, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting just a little hyped here because it looks like they're trying to revive a throwback deck, you know, give us a little bit of retro action and bring a deck that we haven't seen in quite some time back to the competitive scene in Yu-Gi-Oh! So the card that I'm talking about is the Tree Spirit of the Meliaes. I probably mispronounced that, please forgive me. It's a Plant Xyz Monster, 1700 attack, 900 defense. It requires 2 level 3 Earth monsters to summon, and once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz Material from this card and activate one of these effects as 2 effects. Effect number 1, send 1 plant-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. Okay, I definitely like that. That's basically Foolish Burial for plants. And effect 2, target 1 plant monster in your graveyard and special summon that target in face-up defense position. Okay, so I like that too because that's essentially Call of the Haunted. It's just, you know, your monster goes in defense. Alright, so when I saw this card, I was like, holy shit, finally an Xyz Monster specifically designed to help plants, and oh, how does this card do that? I mean, it is so freaking good. Now, it does have the obvious restriction of, you know, the monsters that you use to summon this guy have to be Earth, otherwise everybody would just go Tour Guide, Tour Guide, Tour Guide, Tour Guide, you know, and that would be like, okay, maybe just on like the edge of derpiness, and I'm pretty sure they immediately thought of that, like, okay guys, we hit Tour Guide, but we don't want that card like being the be-all end-all for making this. So I'm thinking that the most optimal way to summon this guy is probably going to be using Crane, you know, because with Crane, I mean, if you're looking at, you know, the Plant Synchro deck or just how Plant operates in general, you've got 3 legitimate targets in your deck. You know, obviously you have Dandelion. I mean, any Plant lineup is going to run Dandelion. The second being Card Trooper, which is a card that, you know, was ran alongside in Plants because it was a debris target and it could mill things like Dandelion that you wanted into the graveyard, Spore, whatever. And then the third, obviously, being, you know, other copies of itself. So, you know, you have 3 legitimate targets where you can just summon a Crane, and, you know, you can make this card for one monster. So not only is this card relatively easy to make as long as you have access to a Crane, but, you know, the effect is so beneficial to the deck. You know, having the ability to special summon or dump Dandelion, Spore, Lone Fire Blossom, or Titanial, I mean, that's just insane. Not to mention, with Spore and Dandelion, it's like complete win-win. You know, whether you're special summoning those cards from the graveyard or you're just dumping them straight from the deck, like, you're still going to be putting yourself in an advantageous position. And I like this because you don't have to, like, have your graveyard set up any type of way. Like, even if you don't have like any good plants in your graveyard, just activate the effect, dump Dandelion in there, and get 2 tokens. And if this guy lives, next turn you can revive the Dandelion and set up some future plays. So this is not one of those cards where, you know, you need a particularly perfect setup in your graveyard to make effective. Now, I think that this card coming out coinciding with the recent release of Crane is going to give this deck a ton of potential, you know, because Crane gives this deck a lot more synergy that it didn't have. It gives it the ability to easily make those rank 3 Xyz, where in the past, I mean, outside of Tour Guide, like, making rank 3s in Plant Synchro, like, wasn't the easiest thing to do. But now when you have Crane, you can instantly go on the Leviair, which means that you can instantly get those Lone Fires and Dandelions back that earlier in the game you may have removed for Spore. You know, Crane is also a debris target, so it's like, now I feel like everything in the fucking deck is basically a debris target. I mean, you got Card Trooper, Dandelion, Crane, you know, Lone Fire Blossom. Like, you have so many different options for Debris Dragon where, you know, in the past, maybe the Debris Dragon targets were kind of limited. Maybe you had to play slow stuff like Snowman Eater. I feel like Debris Dragon should never really be a dead card in your deck anymore. And, you know, one thing that people have actually brought up is the potential of using Redox in this deck. You know, you look at the fact that you're probably going to max out on Cranes. You've got Dandelion. He's another Earth. You know, Card Troopers are Earth. You can play Maxis. That's another Earth. So you could potentially be playing Redox in this deck. And when you add Redox being special summon with something like, you know, Spore or using Lone Fire Blossom to tutor Spore, I mean, you can have those very easy dropping, or you can easily drop those, you know, level 8 synchros, or you can just use Redox's ability to monster born something like a Lone Fire Blossom and just combine that with this card, and just the options are just so ridiculously mind-blowing. Now, there are actually some really cool plays that this card allows you to do. Like, alright, so this is a really good play. It essentially only requires you to have a Crane in your hand. You just have to have a Dandelion and a Lone Fire Blossom in the graveyard, which isn't really that hard. You run Foolish Burial, Card Trooper, all those good ways to get stuff in the graveyard. Alright, so you can summon Crane. Crane's effect will kick in. You can revive Dandelion. You can make the Tree Spirit Xyz Monster. Detach Dandelion, which is going to get you your 2 tokens. Revive Lone Fire Blossom. Tribute the Tree Spirit. Get Spore from your deck. And then you can make Formula Synchron. Then you can obviously revive the Spore. You can make Stardust Dragon. And then make Shooting Star Dragon, which is a card that we haven't seen in quite some time. But, you know, I still like Shooting Star Dragon. So I think that this deck is going to at least be very interesting. I'm not going to say it's going to be like high level, you know, competitiveness. Maybe tier 2 will be a good, you know, potential, you know, measuring mark of the deck. But if nothing else, this deck is just going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just going to cross my fingers and say it. Bring back Glow Up Bulb, Krenom. Just fucking do it. Bring back Glow Up Bulb and make this deck like fucking low tier 1 or something like that. Oh, man. So if you guys are excited about this card, let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching as always, and take care. Subscribing makes life happy.